Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. There are various new gameplay loops being worked on during 2021 by Cloud Imperium, and I wanted to talk about what we've got at the moment, what that's expanding into, jobs, roles, updates to gameplay that we might get throughout 2021, and what they're working towards. And I'm going to be focusing on three major sets of gameplay loops: Salvage, cargo, and bounty hunting, or scanning and exploration as well, I suppose. So four for the most part, and then we'll talk a little bit about what else we could see. So the long-awaited salvage mechanics are getting work in 2021, but what form might we actually see them in? So what's currently listed on the progress tracker on the roadmap is Salvage Tier 0, all back-end tech and tasks related to creating the first pass of the salvage feature that will be used in both locations and mission updates. This is further supported by Cloud Imperium's work on physicalized components and power the resource transfer pipeline system. So this has components in ships be removable and replaceable, but also those components in ships actually transfer power to one another, and they're part of a circuit, and that circuit can get interrupted and that sort of stuff. So it actually has ships running in a much more realistic way, and you can have damage control and target certain parts of ships and that sort of stuff. So we also have cutting Tier 2, the continued development of the existing multi-tool technology that will allow players to cut through specific objects, and some surfaces you may be able to entirely freeform cut through. So you combine all of that together, and you could actually have quite a reasonable Tier 0, Tier 1 salvage mechanic, cutting out components from ships, weapons, systems, all that sort of stuff, and then removing them, taking them back to your ship. That's basically salvage. Removing components and parts from wrecks, looting, that sort of stuff, that's kind of salvage. The more focused hull stripping that the Vulture is going to be able to do, which is one of the types of salvage, that will be coming in the future, but there's no indication on the roadmap yet of exactly when that will be. It's expected to be similar to mining hull stripping, and I wouldn't expect it to be too far out. There are other types of salvaging as well, which are probably further out. Siphoning, which might actually be pretty much the same as sort of the gas mining that the Starfarer will be able to do. It's basically the collection of liquids and gases. There's also more salvage, which is like large chunks of scrap and metal that might be blown off ships or otherwise ground down and then probably made into cubes. So those types of salvaging, they're further out, but very basic, removing of like components and taking them back to your ship, removing them off ships. That looks like that's going to be the first iteration of salvage that we get and potentially get in 2021. Cargo 2.0. So there is a huge amount of new cargo updates that are going to change the way that hauling and delivery gameplay works. There are various new cargo types being worked on, volatiles like timed cargo, quantum sensitive cargo, explosive cargo. They are building larger cargo containers as well, so the servers don't implode when they have like lots and lots of cargo ships flying around. Not each individual tiny little cargo container has to be represented in some way. They can have much larger cargo containers, which will then be tracked by databases, iCache, and all that sort of stuff. Ship to station docking is also going to be here at some point. Well, 3.13 is where the first iteration of it will come with ship to station docking, and this is going to give more gameplay around those larger ships to be able to dock with stations, but also maybe smaller ships will be able to dock to do cargo work and move cargo off quicker and stuff like that, using the actual cargo decks directly connected potentially to the docking collars. There's a lot of other sort of potential improvements from iCache for persistence, more stable servers, and work towards a dynamic economy. That should really change up cargo gameplay. Just getting it more stable, getting it more able to work better, getting the game more fleshed out in general, that should genuinely help that type of gameplay. You don't want a 30k, you don't want to disconnect, you don't want to have you lose all your cargo, that sort of stuff. We've got the multi-tool with the tractor beams, but they're working on tractor beams for ships. They're going to have tractor beams be able to be used around outposts and in green zones as well in the near future. When we have physical components, this opens up boarding for piracy gameplay, for just moving cargo between ships in space, doing, maybe you're dealing contraband to another player, do it in space. But also you'll be able to steal and loot other people's ships. There's a refactor as well to allow both found and purchased cargo to be picked up more readily, so this is commodity containers, not just mission boxes, and moved around and then placed into a cargo grid of a ship. And they're adding timers for loading and unloading cargo as well. So this is pretty cool. I want to be able to move cargo containers around. I want to be able to loot ships better. Eventually, they are working towards having boxes that you can fill with pistols, weapons, other commodities and stuff that you can actually take stuff out of the box and use it immediately. So you could pick a rifle out of a box, but you could also have a load of rifles in a box and that be counted in the sort of manifest for the ship, so you could actually sell it to a kiosk later. So all of this is working towards deeper cargo gameplay, and that's actually pretty cool for the game. We also know that they're working on dangerous locations for cargo drop-offs and missions too. Let's talk a bit about scanning. So we know that Cloud Imperium are working on scanning and radar updates, improved signature systems, supporting much greater distances and dampening of signatures by environmental interference and larger signatures. They want to have scanning much more in depth, but also it be sort of the same between ships, ground vehicles, and FPS. So you can scan things while you're running around with your mobiGlass or whatever system that you may have to do that. And this is going to allow for much deeper mission gameplay. We could potentially see the Tessa Bannister missions back as well. They are scanning based, or at least that's what she's sort of in lore is supposed to be doing. It's needed for exploration as well, these sort of scanning mechanics, sharing data and targets with other ships, and scanning items down, scanning missions locations down, tracking and going after particular bounties or items and trying to trace where they've gone. You're not just going to know where points of interest are necessarily all the time. You're going to want to have to try and find them, and this sort of scanning gameplay, that is so important for that. But also for detecting ships that are trying to stealth, and that stealth gameplay, that's so important to the game. But we've also got bounty hunting, which is sort of associated with this, and we know that bounty hunting is getting a lot more flesh on its bones in 2021. They're adding more status effects and deeper medical gameplay as well. This will eventually have players being knocked down and knocked out. Bounty hunters will be able to grab the bodies and put them in a cryopod or prisoner transport pod. We've seen those pods in game. We know that you can actually knock players out briefly even now, but they are expanding that gameplay out further, it appears. Cloud Imperium have previously talked about what they foresee the capture mechanics being like. So if you've been captured by someone and you've been put in a prisoner pod or knocked out, you can potentially choose to immediately respawn, and you'd spawn in prison or an appropriate place, or you could choose to wait and potentially be rescued and choose to spawn if you wanted to. And the bounty hunter would assumedly try and take you to the UEE or security office to get their bounty, but you wouldn't disappear from their ship if you choose to respawn. You'd basically be there'd be an empty body there that represents you. Cloud Imperium are working on gameplay for tracking, enabling players to track criminals via the mobiGlass security app. This is going to be linked to distress beacons and comm arrays and the air traffic control ATC systems, cameras, NPCs, players, all that sort of stuff. It requires a load of new back-end tech and the NPC scheduler and security services and lots of the stuff they're working on for the more dynamic universe. But basically, criminals and bounties will be spotted, and that will be relayed and shared with bounty hunters so that they can track people. All together though, along with the reputation system, which is already in game for 3.12, giving you more appropriate missions and tracking your reputation with individual guilds and the Bounty Hunters Guild and all those sort of mission givers and stuff. That should genuinely really expand out that bounty hunting gameplay to be quite a lot more fleshed out. And we know they've been working on bounty hunting armor and some other bounty hunting gameplay as well, which they should hopefully put on the roadmap pretty soon. And this should be for both PvE and PvP gameplay, getting a lot more flesh on its bones, not just one or the other. We know that they're working on healing mechanics, which are also going to allow you to heal someone else, so third-party healing, so expect missions associated with that, as well as more difficult multiplayer first-person shooter type missions, because you can potentially heal your teammates up, so they'll expect you to take a team in and also expect you to be able to recover and get your teammates back up. So I think that's pretty cool. There's hacking with a mini game that's being worked on that could be connected to lots of other systems. We don't know exactly what form it's going to be implemented in. We know it's going to come up on your visor on your HUD and stuff, so we'll have to see how that works. As I said earlier, there is work on the quantum simulation stuff that was revealed at CitizenCon 2019. This is going to serve as the background economy for Star Citizen, with thousands of unseen simulated entities carrying out trade, commerce, piracy, and security to populate and inform the other game systems, but also not just unseen. These will also have probability volumes, which will go, well, you're more likely to encounter pirates in this area, and when there's an encounter, well, this is what you're likely to see during that encounter. There's likely to be traders moving here, so you'll see traders and cargo ships and that sort of stuff. That combined with recipe updates that they're also working on, which is basically a polish pass on the commodity trading and item prices that works out, hang on, this requires loads of iron or gold or stuff to get these particular components or ships from in-game and produced. Well, that means we've got loads of that, so these items and ships are cheaper. Or we've got none of that, well, that means there's no stock of those items at all. So that could actually see a lot of economic changes coming in 2021 and the associated gameplay loops, because the economy is the driving factor for dynamic missions and for most people's actions in game to some extent, or at least the NPC actions, I suppose. You know, some people are just cray. Also, personal inventory is going to change the way we play the game, because it's probably not just going to be FPS stuff. So what I mean by this is that we're getting lockers, we're getting no more magic bags of holding, so they're going to be having ways to store clothes, armor, and physical items in your ship, in trunks, in buildings, and that sort of stuff. You don't just have it all on you, you've got what you're wearing on you, and nothing more than that. So a much more tactile method of storing items is expected here. So you'll have attachments for surfaces. You can like put certain things down on them. You can put items on shelves. You have armor lockers, EVA lockers, and this builds on the personal inventory, expanding out the inventory UI, all that sort of stuff, so you can interact with boxes and other things. And this would also allow for stuff like looting bodies too. And I expect at the same time us to have to go, where do our ships start? We don't just go, we'll call our ship to this particular station or whatever. We'll have to choose where all our assets start in game. And then they're there, and the only way to get them somewhere else is to actually take them there, or potentially reclaim them. And that will be interesting to see how reclaiming and insurance will work when we have a physical, more proximate inventories and assets. Like, do they just go, well, you pay a premium effectively to get them delivered to that station, or do they get delivered somewhere else, or does insurance just cover it, whatever? I'm sort of curious to see what's going on there. Bases and lots of new locations are being worked on as well, which again, it's more gameplay area that will expand out gameplay content and roles based on what's there. We will in fact be getting a load more information on the 27th of January. I don't expect we'll see bases in game in 2021, but there might be the start of some land claim gameplay and some other stuff associated with that. But as I said, we're gonna have to wait until the 27th of January to see more and to have a bit more detail and accuracy of exactly what we're getting in 2021. But I do think that we're going to be getting a lot more expanded gameplay for cargo and bounty hunting, and the start of those salvage mechanics. And with the potential for physicalized components, physical damage, and the resource and power transfer systems with ships, we could see proper damage control, we could see fires break out. They've been working on fires, we know that, and that's cool gameplay unto itself. That's engineering gameplay. That's we need to repair these systems while we're fighting sort of gameplay, and we might be able to get back into the fight, or we might be able to escape if we reroute this power and put out this fire and fix this relay box. So I'm really excited about that, but I'm waiting for the roadmap updates to see if that is likely to be in 2021, because some of it is, but not all of it. But what do you think? Do you think we will see bounty hunting, cargo, salvage, and damage control gameplay mechanics this year? And do you think we're all going to get some meat on their bones in 2021? What would you like to see throughout the year? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For January 2021, we're giving away 5 different ships to 5 different randomly chosen winners. We're giving away a 100i, a 125a, a 135c, as well as a couple of birdie boys, the Talon and the Shrike variant. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning is comment on any of my videos made during January. That's it, although I would appreciate if you liked and subscribed. I also shill for NordVPN. They protect your datas and your information from people that are trying to data intercept it with a Herald or Mercury Star Runner. You see how I built that into Star Citizen-based lore. As in, animate a little radar dish or a Mercury Star Runner stealing someone's data, and then NordVPN somehow blocking that. But if you are looking for a VPN, NordVPN is a very affordable VPN that can get you better access to the internet, help keep you secure and protected, and help you maintain your privacy. Links down below for a discount on Nord. Also, if you wish to further support the channel, there's Patreon, there's a join button below my videos. The extra money that we get from that helps support the channel massively. Thank you so much to those VIPs that go the extra mile to do that. I also like people quite a lot that share, like, and subscribe and comment on my videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.